to open a new chapter in relations by means of looking back at history and recognizing France's role in the 1994 genocide. Let's just cross over. Rwandan President Paul Kagame is currently speaking.
And we are constantly striving to be better still. There is a way of looking at Africa from the outside that automatically associates every success with some huge cost in terms of fundamental values and freedoms. This is not to say that Africa has no bad actors. It does. They are there. They may even be numerous, but no more so than everywhere else in the world. The difference is that Africa as a whole comes to be defined by those bad actors, whereas elsewhere, these bad actors are exceptions. This assumption creates a reference point where Africa is always down while others are up. It secures those others in the conviction that they have a natural right to do and say whatever they want in relation to Africa, to give lessons and pass judgment on our choices. Unfortunately, some of our own in Africa also participate in this negative enterprise. The dynamic goes on almost forever, as if it is unstoppable or inevitable. But it is not. You stop it by doing what you believe is right, and which, in the end, may indeed prove to be right. The veneer of moral superiority is very thin once you start to scrape at it. Beneath it hides racism, a denial of the intrinsic and equal worth of every human being. It was racism that made a foreseeable genocide in Africa seem tolerable. Racism and ideology and genocide ideology exist on the same continuum. They are forms of dehumanization, and they pose a growing threat to society in every continent. Our civilized world must come together to fight racism and genocide ideology in a concerted and consistent fashion. There are attitudes inherited from the past that have needed to change for a long time. And I want to say that President Macron is among those who realized that things need to change and is taking a strong stand in trying to bring about that change. It's not about speaking on Africa's behalf. but rather ensuring that the voices of Rwandans and Africans can join together with the rest of the world in a pursuit of common objectives, irrespective of where we come from. President Macron is someone who listens, and he is committed to supporting Africa based on what Africa itself has chosen. This is different. It is better, and it can last. Fundamentally, this visit is about the future, not the past. France and Rwanda are going to relate much better to the benefit of both our peoples, economically, politically, and in terms of culture. But the relationship between our two countries will never be entirely conventional. There is a special familiarity resulting from the complex and terrible history we share, for better or for worse. We have chosen to make it for the better. We wish to form a strong and sustainable relationship based on priorities that matter to both Rwanda and France. This includes many of the items discussed in our bilateral meeting today, such as investment, digitalization, gender equality, climate change, cultural exchange, and support for entrepreneurship, small, medium businesses, startups, and especially youth empowerment. Rwanda shall be a strong partner in all of these areas. Mr. President, I once again thank you and your delegation for being with us here today. I thank everyone who is here for your kind attention. I now invite my friend, President Macron, to make his statement, and then we will be happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Monsieur le Président, cher Paul, merci beaucoup pour vos mots et les propos que vous venez de tenir. Monsieur le Président, Mesdames, Messieurs les ministres, Mesdames, Messieurs, chers amis, c'est un honneur et une responsabilité particulière d'être ici.
A new dawn for Rwanda and France there. Rwandan President Paul Kagame addressing the nation alongside French President Emmanuel Macron in a historic visit to Rwanda to open a new chapter in relations by means of looking back at history and recognizing France's role in the 1994 genocide. Now, in the last hour, French President Emmanuel Macron said he recognized his country's role in Rwanda's genocide and hoped for forgiveness at a memorial in Kigali. Macron is seeking to reset relations after years of Rwandan accusations that France was complicit in the 1994 atrocities. After his arrival, Macron visited the Gisozi Genocide Memorial in Kigali, where more than 250,000 victims are buried. Macron, who has pointedly tried to distance France from its colonial past, agreed in April to open the Rwandan archives of former President François Mitterrand, who was in charge during the genocide. Listen in.
seuls ceux qui ont traversé la nuit.
On this path, only those who went through that night can perhaps forgive. Give us the gift of forgiving. I hereby humbly and with respect stand by your side today. I come to recognize the extent of our responsibilities. The killers who stalked the swamps, the hills, the churches did not have the face of France. France was not